Good afternoon, friends, both the coordinators of this program, Professor Krishnanand, Dr. Ravi Kumar, Dr. Mazaya, and also participants linking to this online program from various parts of the country. Thank you for bearing with me. Of course, the other day I regret that there was some kind of problem with the audio system, and I could not drive home the whole issue, whatever I was interested in telling you. And Krishnanand also was just advising me whether any issue is there with the audio Wi-Fi system in the TLC building, and we have corrected that. And of course, parallelly, nearly about some 120 people are just getting trained on Moodle on learning management systems for our next semester's program on the second floor. I am also supposed to be one of the participants there. In fact, one of the resource persons there, and to share my ideas about the professional ethics as part of this interactive program. I came down here and I'm missing the class there. It's okay. Friends, I'm not here to just tell sermons to you that I only know what's meant by professional ethics, and none of these 90 participants knows what's meant by professional ethics. All of us are aware from the day we have been trained or read up at the house from my parents, from our elders, from our teachers, and also from the literature, whatever we study, whatever we read, and from the movies what we watched, and also from the maybe some kind of disclosures what we must have participated. Okay, so and also we're all part and parcel of the social system, social fabric. We are supposed to be aware of what is civic sense, what is a civilized method, what is uncivilized method, what is evil, what is good. All these things we know. At the same time, only to consolidate the special emphasis of ethical behavior with respect to teacher, especially higher education, we made this particular lecture as part of all the faculty development programs, so that the participants are going to be specially aware about this particular thing. So I'm going to take about. Is it okay, sir? Yeah. Any problem with my audio system?
No, it's fine, sir. It's going well.
Okay, yeah, I just listen some noise here and there. Okay. Abhishek, I'm not able to get to the next two slide. Okay, slide slow now already. From the beginning. Okay. Friends, these professional ethics are not all going to be constant. As you know, depending upon the generation, depending upon the type of socio-political and also the socio-scientific picture we are having, the parliament also keeps on reforming, revising various ways in which the civilized people are supposed to be behaving like. Okay, so the values, whatever we call them as morals or ethics, etc., are going to be dynamic. So the ethics are actually having some kind of synonymous meaning. Values, sometimes we call them as values. For example, in NIT Warangal itself, there is something called as Value Center for Value Education, where our students are supposed to be exposed to this particular program for about nearly 1 week actually. That is called as the induction program. All the BTech students, nearly 1,000 BTech students every year, are going to be exposed to some 1 week program called as the induction program, wherein only values of behavior, values of society, values of performance, values as engineers are going to be imparted to them by some kind of eminent people. And we also call the same values as morals also. Maybe even if morals and values are having 100% identical meaning, no two English words would not have been there. No English words would have been there. So the very fact that these two words are differently, what do you say, the symbolized differently spelled, means that there must be some subtle difference. So we are supposed to be equipped with the actual meaning of the values, morals, duties connected to morals, responsibilities, and also emulative conduct. And our behavior must be example to people who are actually watching us every minute and second. So the students are going to be very keen observers. We may be thinking that once the class is over, that our job is over and nobody is going to be watching us. And remember, the students are going to be making a lot of fun after us. And so-and-so is like a lion, like so-and-so is like a meek person. So-and-so is actually some kind of a knack person. He is like a chemcha person for the administration. And he is very outspoken. And he is very rude. And he is non-approachable. He is approachable. He is very friendly. Like that, some comments also come from the students. It is not by the way we are going to behave only in the classroom that they come to such conclusion, but they come
sir, sorry to disturb.
slide also.
Okay, sir.
The
Okay,
slides
sir,
must be
please.
coming. Okay. So, friends, this is about the way in which a teacher is supposed to be very vigilant, very aware about the fact that the students are actually watching us, and our behavior and our performance is going to be very important. That's why people say that teaching profession is a noble profession. As the teachers of higher education, we must be conversant with the way in which the knowledge itself has arisen. So this is the way the same human being sometime back, maybe something like 10,000 years back, or maybe 20,000 years back, or maybe 1 lakh years back, the human species was like this. People say that according to biological evolution, the human race, the so-called Homo sapiens race, has arisen on this earth nearly something like 15 lakhs of years ago. But the civilization means behavioral aspect and family, society, norms of performance, sowing, reaping, harvesting, and sharing, and what to do, what not do. This kind of some kind of affirmative, confirmative logistics and all. People say that has started only in the human race, only something like 10,000 years or 20,000 years since, but not before that. Okay. And from that point onwards, we have reached to such an extent where we were able to send a person directly, a human person directly onto the surface of the moon. That has happened not now. It has happened even something like 60 years ago. 60 years ago, in the year 2000, in the year 1969 itself, we could send Neil Armstrong and also Aldrin onto the lunar surface. And such is the development that has happened. That could happen only because of the explosion of knowledge, and a human being is able to observe the nature, understand the rules and regulations of the nature, and try to copy and mime those observations, and the theory as well as the laws. All those things have helped him to fabricate new tools and methods, so that the human life has become better and better. Perhaps we are also calling ourselves as the teachers, because we are going to teach what is meant by knowledge, so that the students or the learners are going to be having better life in their future. Why? Because they are going to be equipped with the tools and skills of some job, whether it is engineering or science. So the nation itself is made up of the people, like in Telugu, one great writer called as Gurajada Apparao said that Desamante Matti Kadoi, Desamante Manushloi. If in case we want to bring out students of any performance and all, they are going to be deciding the prosperity and also the level international standards or international fame and fate of the country. That's why great philosophers or educationists like Rajni Kothari has told that the destiny of a country is shaped in its classroom. And who is classroom is not the concrete building and also the lifeless chairs, board, overhead projector, this and that. The classroom itself means the students as well as the teachers, even though in the present scenario, in a post-COVID-19 scenario, if the class are going to be conducted online, and the classroom may be the classroom may be virtual.
वही तो, इसी बात का तो फायदा उठा रहे हैं सबने इस समय ऐसी अति दिखाई है ना अपनी।
Somebody,
भी लड़ रहे थे, हमें लेट हो रहा है, साले बना के खा ली तो
Madam, you have to mute your mic. Okay. Before you talk to your household people, please mute your mic.
अभी कुछ नहीं, अभी जरा फिनिश करा है, 5 लाख भी कम पड़ जाएगा इसकी सोच में।
I am not able to know who
मेरा
he
टाइप
is.
से निकल
Who she is.
फोन नहीं किया उसका मतलब का तुम कैसे चल।
Are you not getting disturbed by that voice?
वहाँ परेशानी लेके पड़े हुए हैं।
Yeah, Krishna, some Krishna.
नहीं आपको जैसे
So perhaps the admin has to deliberately mute the people except mine.
हाँ
Friends, the teacher is supposed to be actually part and parcel of the main person of the classroom. Even though by number the students may be more in number, but the performance wise or the anchoring wise, the teacher is actually under control. Is under control. So the entire classroom is going to decide the fate of the country. Means the teacher is actually making more responsibility. That way we are having the hold with us. And the professional ethics comprise of all these things, professional responsibilities. As teachers, we have got certain responsibilities to perform, not only like in the first day, Professor Ramanarao, our beloved director, has mentioned, we are supposed to be responsible to various aspects of teaching, not only research and teaching, but also extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, and guiding, counseling of the students, etc. And how much affectionate we are to the students is also going to be part and parcel of our ethical behavior, and how we are going to be actually performing our duties as fellow colleagues for our colleagues and for our co-teachers in the department or in the institute. Then how we are going to behave with respect to the administration. Are we going to be asset to the institute so that the administration can be able to provide some kind of assignments to us, and how we are also behaving ourselves with respect to the supporting staff, and our relationship with respect to the parents and guardians of the students. Sometimes the students may be performing very badly. We should not provide a bad picture about the students to the parents or guardians, and only the better side of the students must be made to be known to them. If any wrong side is there, and we have to, if the parents or the guardians are very much alarmed about some of the bad issues related to the students, we have to console them. After all, madam or sir, these kids are only your kids, and they are in the formative stage, they are in the learning stage, they are still young. A lot of time is there for them to learn. Perhaps they will be correcting themselves in future. So don't worry, sir, don't worry, madam. Like that, some kind of consoling words also must be told to the parents, so that they will not be demoralized by the students. We know a lot of times that sometimes bad students also will behave very excellently. Even people say that Steve Jobs was not a very good student at his early age, and Albert Einstein also was not a very nicely performing student at the school days. He was a miserably mediocre student, but you know that he has become one of the excellent, perhaps the best scientist ever the human race has witnessed. That way, we have to be very, very good to the students, and responsibility to society also. That's why society says that the teaching profession is the noble profession. It's not the teachers; they are backpatting that our profession is best profession. So we are shown to be very, very mild, noble, gentle, and harmonious and cordial to society. That's why we have been labeled as the noble people. And we have got a lot of responsibility also to shape to the society. So these are the nice features associated with a good teacher. We must be visionaries, we must be innovators, we must be sacrificing some of our personal comforts to do good to the students as well as to the system. And we have to have high amount of integrity. We should never be cheaters. We should never even thinking of doing any kind of mischief. And we should be optimistic. And even if some problems are there now, we should be in a position to understand that with the eminence of the human race, with the knowledge of the human civilizations and also infrastructure, one day or the other, we are able to find out a solution for any problem. People say that there is no problem which does not have a solution. Anything that does not have a solution is not a problem. That's what to say. So all problems will be having their own solutions. Only thing is, sometimes we have to accelerate for the arrival of the solutions. Sometimes we have to wait for the solution to come. Sometimes naturally, etc. For example, COVID-19 itself is a big problem globally, and in all over the country, all over the world, people are striving hard to find out or to just design vaccine. There is some kind of rat race, whether they are going to be making it commercial or not. Once the vaccine comes, no, perhaps the COVID-19 issue may go away, and all of us are likely to have the good olden days. So that way, we should also be optimistic that one fine day, definitely the vaccine is going to come. And had we not been optimistic, nobody would have been venturing to generate the vaccine for that. And we should also be courageous. And perhaps we know from good olden days that in ashramas and all, not only the teacher or the so-called guru used to tell about the philosophy of the world, philosophy of the society, and also they used to tell them how to hunt, how to earn food, how to do this, how to do that and all. So in the same way, how to eradicate the bad, how to support the good, this also was told to them. And that can happen only if they are very courageous. And courage cannot be shown to or told to the students unless we ourselves are courageous. And we should be physically fit. See, part of education, always there is sports and games. If sports and games is meant for maintaining the body, good body is going to have a good mind. Okay. Same Guruji Apparao, whom I was mentioning as defining what is meant by a country, that a country does not mean soil, country means people. Desamante matti kadoi, desamante mansloi. Country does not mean soil, country means only people. Same Gurujada in the same lyric say that Isuro mane manshulunte desame gatu bagupadunai. If the people are very dull, meek, and just weak, worthless, how much amount of labor, how much amount of strain they are going to offer for the betterment of the society. Okay. That way it is said. And that means, what does mean? The muscle power must be there. So only a physically fit person only can perform better. And as teachers also, we must have to have very good body fitness, so that we'll be able to take a lot of responsibilities for the betterment of the system. And we should be empathetic. We should be able to understand the pains, the sorrows, and the moods of the students, and we should be in a position to soothe their pains and all. Then they will be able to approach us. While they are approaching us, not only we will be able to tell them how to live life, how to lead the next generation life, because we are one generation above them, and we have got all those pains. We must have sailed through. We must have swum through all those pains and comforts, and we should tell them how to react or how to respond to some kind of adverse conditions. So that way we should be able to, we should be empathetic to the problems of the students, and should also excel in our own profession. Whatever we learned in our PhD, in our post-graduation or maybe undergraduation, should not be continuing the same way. It has to keep on updating. So we should keep on be the students, so that we will be learner. So the teacher must be an eternal learner, and once we are learning, we will be able to perform also very well, and we will be able to excel in our own subject. And we should be adventuristic, means we should be able to make a new innovative ideas. We should be able to take some kind of risk, calculated risk also, to venture or to see whether new ideas can emerge. And in that process, we may be losing something. So adventure itself means even taking some risk for the purpose of getting some better benefit. And should be organizers. That's why associations are there. They are chemical engineering associations are there, biotechnology associations are there, mechanical engineering associations are there, student unions are there, teachers unions are there. Then a lot of such science associations are there, scientific bodies are there, IEEE is there, okay, IST is there, Indian Society for Technical Education is there. What is the purpose of all these things? So in case we are all together, we'll be able to share mutually the pros and cons of technology, the new developments that are taking place in the technology, so that all of us will be able to be augmenting mutual knowledges and all. That way, we should be in a position to organize people, and that organization capability can happen only in case we're having the leadership mindset. Leadership mindset itself is part of ethics. Ethics do not mean only not doing sins, doing only good and all, giving some kind of money to a beggar, supporting some kind of maybe the Vruddhashrams and some orphanage houses, and giving some food during this COVID period, when a lot of these people are traveling thousands of kilometers. So giving some food in between, that is the part of humankind. That itself is a small part of teachers' ethics, and these things also will be part and parcel of the ethics of higher education. So we should be good organizers also, and we should be ultimately reformists. Means, what do you say? Reformists should be in a position to change. Our attitude must change. Once new revelations come in science and technology, or new ideas are coming up by philosophers, or new ethos are developed by the ministry or maybe by the parliament and all, who should be able to concomitant to the changing trends of the nature, or the changing trends of the country or the nation. That's why we should be accommodative to undergo this kind of reforms. We should not be very rigid and very obscurantistic. This is about that. And one person says that the teaching is the provision which creates all other provisions. So there is no provision which has not been taught. That's why teacher actually is taken as the apex of a cone, where below the cone, at the base of the cone, all kinds of social provisions may be there. All kinds of walks and okay, all walks of life may be there. But every walk of life must have been trained by a teacher how to walk. So that way, the teaching provision creates all provisions. So similarly, the teacher is supposed to be having the latest knowledge, the society's latest knowledge, the society's highest knowledge is supposed to be mirrored, supposed to be reflected through the knowledge of the teacher. So no society is wiser than its teachers. That's why we must be wise. We must be having that wisdom also. That's what Matthew Arnold says. So that can happen only in case we are what is convergent with all these issues. Similarly, is it okay, sir? Yeah. Yes, there is some issue. Okay. Similarly, our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru himself says that we should accept technology without leaving basic values, which are the essence of civilized man. So, a simple mere knowledge alone will not be making our students helpful or useful or worthy for the society. They must also be given the basic values. For example, a terrorist also is having a lot of knowledge. For example, he may be knowing how to make explosive, how to give the pins to the explosive, how to ignite it, what kind of damage is going to happen. This kind of ideas also may be having. Similarly, the people who are actually making atom bombs and other things also know what is the basic principle of the atom bomb, the nuclear fission also they know. But their intention is to do what to say damage to society, to make some kind of geocide, to make some kind of homicide. But that's not the way we are supposed to train the students to come out. So technology alone will not be helping unless some basic values are also imparted to them. And if those basic values are to be understood to the students in a democracy and with a human attitude, those things cannot come automatically just because they are attending the classes or just seeing the face of the teacher. And just because they are listening chemistry, just because they are listening mechanical engineering, it does not mean that automatically those values are going to be coming to them. As teachers know, those values are supposed to be embedded as part and parcel of our classroom performances. And those values cannot come automatically, as Carl Thomas says. So those values are to be taught, and no one acquires those values by chance. So no automatic probabilistic ways are there. Similarly, to train students alone in science and technology is not the end of the education. For example, Bob Talbot says a nice, wonderful quotation is there here. Teaching kids to count is fine, but teaching them what counts is the best. So we should do the best thing, not simply the good thing. Okay, fine is okay, but what is best? Best is teaching them what counts also, not simply count what is meant by counting. Okay, and we should also be conversant or maybe affirmative or aware of our social responsibility. Unless the society is there, perhaps nobody would have been in this stage. Swami Vivekananda, the great sage of Indian philosophy, also says that education does not mean only simple passing of information. It is, if that is the case, no, library itself would have been the biggest saint. But as teachers who are having a flesh and blood are supposed to be dealing with, we are dealing with also people who are alive with flesh and blood, and we should be able to make ourselves as models for them and giving values. Okay. And similarly, we should also be able to tell to the students what is good, what is bad. The students should be able to understand what is right and what is wrong in the society, and to see what is not right, which is wrong. To see wrong, that's the meaning. To see what is not right means to see wrong, and not to do what is right is want of courage. So only cowards will not be doing the right thing. Only bad people will be doing wrong things. And when in case we want to generate good citizens, they must be able to understand what's meant by right and what's meant by wrong, and that needs a lot of courage. And Confucius himself has said that. The American former president says that to sin by silence when they should protest makes the cowards of man. Okay, the students whomsoever are teaching should not be cowards. They should not go away with a lot of knowledge with a coward mindset. And because if they are cowards now, they will not be able to even rescue the bad things that are happening in their very presence. In front of their very eyes, something wrong may be happening, and they may not be able to come to the rescue of the sufferer. That's why that is equivalent to a sin. Abraham Lincoln said that to sin by silence when they should protest makes the cowards of man. We should not generate people who are cowards. Similarly, another famous philosopher Burke says the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. If you are actually good, if you pose ourselves as good, we should not be silent. And if you are silent, if you are not doing anything, then the evil will be triumphant. You will be victorious. So the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for a good man to do nothing. So the good men are supposed to be acting, and the action must be what is the type of action that can be there, so that evil will not be prevailing, evil will not be triumphant, and that also must be made part and parcel of our education. For example, Mayer School of Business, Texas A&M University, which is one of the very premier higher education institutes in the US, has got in a mission statement the following last statement or last sentence in that. Then you can see in that. So their mission is not only simply giving education, but their mission is even to impart the values also as part and parcel of education. Therefore, the faculty and the staff have a responsibility for creating an academic environment that promotes honest academic inquiry on one hand, and also teaches students ethical behavior in the process. That is the thing that has been mentioned. So the ethical behavior also should be part and parcel of academic activity, and all the supporting staff and the faculty and the entire system must be striving hard to impart these things. That's what it says. Okay, so if the students have to be imparted with ethical behavior, we teachers also must be having that ethical behavior with us, and we should be in a position to judge what is good and what is bad. That can happen only in case we are balancing our position on one pan with our ethical behavior on the other pan. These two things must be in a balance. Okay, and what are the various things that are likely to be causing bad image to our performance, or when are we going to be called unethical? By shunning away what we are going to be called as ethical. We should not be cheaters. We should not cheat to the fellow faculty member. We should not do damage to the the fame and also reputation of the system. For example, there is one case called as Witkins I mentioned. You know that the DNA structure has been known, and the Nobel Prize was given to Watson, Crick, and also Wilkins. But people have found out that actually the work that has been reported by Wilkins, by way of which he was shared with the Nobel Prize, was that of Rosalind Franklin. One lady by name Rosalind Franklin, who was working under J.D. Bernal. Actually, being a lady, she was not able to work overnight like a male. No, like male researchers who can stay in the laboratories till 10 o'clock or till midnight and all. The girls are not permitted that way. There is nowhere in the world the girls are permitted to be staying back in the laboratories till midnight. So she must have left the laboratory somewhere at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and this fellow, her colleague, has snatched her information and a logbook and also observation notebook, and he presented as if that work is his. That way he got the Nobel Prize. Some people are going to be cheaters, even at the Nobel laureates levels also. Somewhere the cheating behavior may be prevailing, and we should be totally away from such kind of things. And also plagiarism, copying some information which has been already published and showing it as a fresh knowledge, fresh information, should be totally eradicated from our behavioral aspect. So plagiarism should not be there, and misrepresentation and also gossiping and representing somebody in a bad way. You know that a lot of people they are all the so-called frog culture. The frogs know in a well. The people say that when one frog wants to go upward, the frog below it pulls down the legs of the frog, which is already on the top of it. And sometimes they misrepresent to the administrators. So and so is likely to come up very well in his or her profession. Then what do they say? They say that, sir, my dear sir, you don't know, so and so is very bad. He has got this behavior, he has got that behavior, and all. That way, some kind of misrepresentation may be there, and the carrying bad image. Okay, similarly, gossiping, undue things, unwanted things, non-productive things also they are going to be concentrating on, and we should be shunning away from such kind of behaviors. And also sabotage, causing a harm to the natural growth of our colleagues, natural growth of the reputation of the institute, a natural fame that is likely to be coming to our peers. That kind of damage if you do, not only we are going to be growing, we are also stopping the growth of others. That is called as a sabotage. That kind of behavior also should be total away from our performances as the teachers of higher education. Then we should also be not a part and parcel of this nepotism, personal bias and all. You know what's meant by nepotism? Doing favor to our own kith and kin at the cost of the chances of opportunities for the others on a justice basis. And personal bias also. Suppose some student is not saluting to you, we may just develop some kind of grudge on him or her. Sometimes the student may be smoking. With the students with some kind of prejudice or the other. When we are watching some 30 or 40 students, then we will say, so and so is good, so and so is okay, so and so is okay, he is very nice. This way, the way will be giving some kind of remarks instantaneously. Those remarks are not those remarks are supposed to be based on the merit, and I don't think that the remarks or the comments whatever are passing are on totally the meritorious performance of the students. They are also judged by our prejudices we got about them by their behavioral aspect. If any behavioral aberrations are there, we may have to correct them. We have to correct. And so our objective evaluation of the students based on their academic performances should not be guided by our prejudices or the so-called personal bias is the thing. And that needs definitely a lot of introspection as the individuals. Similarly, the tarnishing the image of the institute also is totally bad. Suppose, okay, maybe me and my colleague have attended the interview. Both of us have published same number of papers. Both of us have got same number of PhDs guidance. But somehow my fellow colleague has been promoted as a professor, and I'm still left as associate professor. Then what will say? I will be developing not only a grudge on my colleague because he has crossed me, and we will also be developing grudge on the institute itself. This institute is bad and this institute is no way good and so it does not know to recognize what is good and what is bad and that way they will be commenting. We don't know, maybe on that day when a board of selectors are there, they must have posed such a type of questions which must have been answered luckily by that colleague very easily, and the questions posed to him must have come very easily. The questions posed to you must have come very difficultly without any prejudice or any bias from them. And it was your bad luck. It was your bad chance. You had a bad day that way. You have to take these things into your own stride and perform better next time and hope for the best. That way we have to take the things into our stride, but we should not develop a grudge onto the institute and start making some kind of bad steps to cause damage to the system. So the people say that what kind of people you are moving with. Say, suppose I am a really very good person, and after my class is over, posing that I am very good person, I have got a lot of morals and I never lied, I never snatched, I never steal anything, I never stole any computer or any money or misbehaved with any girls or ladies, etc. You may be what do you say highly gloating about your own performances. But if you are moving with people who are actually known to be very, very bad socially, very, very bad morally, who are actually bruising, we are actually commenting very nastily on the ladies, nastily on the system and all, people will be attributing same kind of feathers to you also. That's why in Sanskrit there is one statement. Okay, I think in may not be directly Sanskrit. In our some Oriental language, there is one statement: "Kakambula chedi hamsayu kakambu nabadu." What does it mean? Even a swan also, if it is moving with the crows, it will also be called as a crow. So that way, even a cuckoo which sings, if it is that is also black, but if it is floating crows, that also will be called as a crow. So that's why people say that you are the average of the 5 people whom you spend time with. Okay, if my average vision or average attribute to me given by the fellows around me is supposed to be good, that average can be bettered only in case I am moving with the good people who are already having some good score. That way we should not have our average fall down, because we should not be giving chance for other people to comment bad to us. And other things that we are supposed to be very, very aware of or conversant with or vigilant with is not to be negligent to our duty. We should take our classes very regularly, and we should not fail in completing the assigned task. For example, as I told you in the inaugural function itself, our beloved director has formulated some 5 teams with almost all the faculty members in each of these teams. Okay, and they are supposed to do some activities and they're supposed to come out with some action plan or short range plan and also long range plan. And he has given a timeline that is 31st of July. And by 31st of July, despite our busy schedule in all these FTMs, FDPs, and this program, that program, this and that, are domestic issues also, we should be able to take some extra effort to fulfill the tasks that have been asked for. Then only we'll be called as assets to the institute. The teachers are supposed to be known by the administrators as the assets. More the number of assets in the campus, better will be the ranking and also the reputation of the institute. Here and there, some nice islandish good people may be there. If only 2 or 3 people are very excellent in 100 faculty members on the campus, and if the remaining 90 or 95 are only mediocre, the institute is not going to be having very good reputation. That's why all of us are supposed to be fulfilling the assigned tasks as effectively as possible. Similarly, we should never be lazy, and we should be able to be very, very active and agile, and we should never be complacent to our duties. And we should also apply rigor. What do you mean by rigor? The so-called ultimate fine detail. Whatever final detail is attributed to a particular work, that must be taken very, very seriously. Superficial execution of any work will not be giving the expected yield, the expected harvest, the expected outcome. For example, me and my fellow farmer may be cultivating 1 acre. So he may be taking all the necessary farming steps from beginning till end. I am also doing something like what are the major things like katte kotte techa, till the crop, you give water and finally wait for the crop and harvest it. I must have got only 50 bags, whereas he must have got 100 bags. The other person, the same 1 acre, got 100 bags. His outcome is very, very good because he has followed all the finer details, minute by minute, inner core details. That's called a rigorous. Very, very rigorously, he has followed the methodology of the cultivation of a crop. Whereas I must have followed only rudimentary, only superfluous methods. So naturally, my outcome is going to be far from perfection, whereas we are supposed to be performing excellently. So similarly, my dear friends, we should never be addicted to drugs, narcotics, and alcoholism. Personally, some people may be having some evening or maybe now and then, maybe some party and all. They may be having some hobbies and all. That's okay. But once we are coming to the campus compound wall is nothing but the compound wall of a temple. Like we don't go into a temple with chappals also. We don't go into a temple with any bad mindset also. We should not enter into the campus with any bad behavioral aspects. And here and there we come across some news, some comments, maybe in media and all. So and so has gone to the class with alcohol. So naturally, we will not be performing to the expectations. And when we are addicted to drugs and narcotics, how can we stop students? That way, and forging signatures must be away, and behavioral flaws should not be there, and lack of respect for individuals, and also profanity to disparage others. All these things must be shunned away from our activities. So finally, I would like to tell you that objectivism and also what is right and what is wrong must be there, and we are supposed to be objective in our performances and all. The students should not be superstitious. If students are superstitious, the country will never go scientifically. So superstitions are going to be impediments for the growth of the science and technology. We know how the science has been stopped in history by some kind of clergy and all, and that can happen only in case we are also shunning away from obscurantism and also superstition mindset. In 5 minutes I'll just complete. And the non-superstitious behavior, objectivism, humankind, all these things are actually part and parcel of the duties of Indian citizens. Our own great democratic performing great constitution itself says that developing scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform are the fundamental duties of the citizens. That is actually enshrined in 51H module of our Indian constitution. Okay. And the scientific temper, the meaning of scientific temper has been already defined. Jawaharlal Nehru in his discovery of India, and with only that scientific mindset only, we could send a rover even 8 years back to the surface of the Mars, which is actually farther than even Sun. Sun is actually only 15 crores of kilometers from Earth, whereas this is 25 crores of kilometers from Earth. And within a year, maybe starting from 2011, by 2012, it could go to Mars, and it is able to perform as per the joystick what we do. Right now, we are all on online workshop. Same way, an online gearing. We're all mechanical engineers. Some kind of mechatronics operations have been done on Earth ground station, and that could happen there. Of course, with some kind of time lag of nearly some 10 minutes, because nothing can go faster than light. So if you are just putting the lever towards you, the action must have happened there after 10-15 minutes. But it's okay. But we are able to manipulate some actions here, there at nearly 24 crores of kilometers away. How could it happen? It could happen only by some kind of scientific objectivism. The way the rocket has flown there, the way the rover has come out from the module, and the way it's performing, all these things are based on the scientific performance and all. And we should also allow the students to pose a lot of questions. Questioning is not wrong. Who questions much will also be learning a much, and we should also question our own performance, our own mindset. Belief alone will not be good unless it is confirmed by experiment. That's what Reddy says. And okay, for example, now I show you a small slide here. This slide, if you are asking any student what is this, they may immediately say that there are horses ridden by some jockeys. And really speaking, it's only superficial knowledge. In case they say that it is a horse, it is superficial knowledge. And the teachers are supposed to provide the students what to say, the rigorous knowledge, the ultimate knowledge, whatever is available by now. Okay, as observers, great observers of horses, you understand that a moving horse, a running horse will never stretch its front legs forward, back legs backward. Okay, only frogs do this kind of motion. So the picture, whatever is shown here, is a dummy picture, is only an art picture, but not a realistic picture. A real horse, no horse in the world, not necessarily in India, not necessarily in Warangal, no horse in the world will have its front legs stretched forward and back legs stretched backward when it is galloping. Okay, so what is the real thing? The front legs will be folded backward, the back legs will be folded forward when a horse is actually moving. So the rigorous thing is missing there. So a superficial knowledge is sometimes not knowledge. That is not a real horse at all. Suppose somebody is having 4 legs and 10 hands and also eyes at the back side. Nobody is existing that way, no. So you cannot call him as a human being. Similarly, that is not a horse. So when that is not a horse, not at all horse at all. So it is not at all science at all. So science means the correct, rigorous, experimental proven knowledge. Here also, people may say that if the line is extended forward, what line is going to be coincident with out of A, B, C, D, E? A simple, a cursory, what to say, apparent judgment should not be taken as a fact. Like the horses should not be taken as horses by apparent look. Here also people may say that it's going to be maybe going to be coincident with the C, D, etc. When I asked this particular diagram in a real audience and all, when I asked them to raise their hands, many observers or many participants or audience have raised their hands for C and D. Okay, real speaking, what you have to experimentally do that. What is the experiment? This is the experiment. Put a straight line and maybe take an object that is a straight and it's not at all playing. Don't know why it is not playing. Actually speaking, it is actually going to be B. In case you are really playing it, it is going to be B. Okay, I'm not able to get that the player anyway. Similarly, in this diagram, the blue strip and the pink strip are actually having equal lengths only in one diagram, left, middle, and right. People may say that middle is right, apparently, but really speaking, if you really compare them, if you play them, you will understand that the left one is correct. But visually, it may not be. Similarly, here also, all the red things are actually of identical lengths. but people may be thinking that they're all having different lengths. The middle one may be longer than the topper, and the bottom one may be longer than the top one and all. But really speaking, they're not. So they can happen only by really comparing with identical things. You can see that I have taken 3 identical things. Similarly, here also the A square and the B square actually are having same kind of photometry. Means the A is looking more grayish than B. Why B is looking more grayish? Because they are surrounded by 4 blacks, real blacks. Why A is surrounded by looking blackish? Because it is surrounded by 4 whites. Really speaking, the A is as white as its neighbor. The A is as white as its neighbor. The B is actually as white as this one. But because it has been surrounded by blacks, so we just call it as white. And because it is surrounded by white, we call it as black. But really speaking, A and B are having identical photometric image quality. How can you know that? You have to take a photometer and put on A square, and also put the same photometer on B circle or B square. Then you will understand both of them are going to give you same photo voltage. So that is how judgment must be made, not simply by visual perception. You can see that. Okay. Lastly, okay, a lot of things are there, but I'm not going to take more of your time. But what I would like to tell you is that a simple judgment based on visual perception should not be taken for granted, and we should actually understand the scientific validity of observations, and the objective judgment must be important. So both the objectivism as well as the social ethical aspect must be part and parcel of our education. And of course, very soon, director actually asked interested faculty members to undergo training for 3-hour training every day from 20th of this month to 31st of this month on universal human values. Universal human values are not all necessarily to be borrowed from religions. Okay, people may be having religious various religions across the world. Okay, maybe hundreds of religions are there, hundreds of faith systems are there. But one thing is common, a common feature of all the religious or irreligious, theistic or atheistic behavior is not to harm the fellow human being. Treat thy person as you thyself. So that way, you know, you have to give respect and take respect. Killing a neighbor is never part of any kind of ethos. That way, universally there are some accepted norms, and all those norms must be part and parcel of our education system. And my dear faculty members, what I want to tell you at the end is, for example, so this is the clever diagram that has been viral in social media recently. You know that recently, something I think on 26th of June, there was a annular solar eclipse, and people say that British Airways pilot has taken a photograph of the solar eclipse, and along with another flight going or flying far away from him. See, this has become very viral, and even in the social media, WhatsApp group, no, lot of eminent professors were there, even great philosophers were there, scientists were there. But how many people questioned it? Only very few people only questioned it. How can sun be looking so bigger when the aeroplane was looking so smaller? Okay, the length of the aeroplane cannot be shorter than the diameter of a faraway sun. For example, no object, even if you are having a finger in front of a sky where the sky is having a bright sun there, okay, maybe evening sun or morning sun, which you can venture to see, that cannot be bigger than the eye, the finger, whatever you are putting closer at a distance of 1 inch towards you. So the aeroplane is just only 1 kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers away from you, whereas the sun is actually crores of kilometers away. So the parallax will not permit this. So it's nothing short of a computer graphic. It is some kind of a morphing. So the education should be able to distinguish what is a fake, what is genuine. And it has been taken for granted by a lot of people in the groups. Similarly, here also. You see here, actually, I'm not able to play it. నాకు ప్రతిసారి పవన్ ఇక్కడ పెద్ద ఇష్యూ వస్తుంది. I'm not able to play the animations are not coming. This is the actual video. This video, okay, for example, you see sir, see in this playing video, where is the playing video? Why it should be so weak in spite of all these things? Had I done there at the top, would have got everything all right. This is supposed to be a video, no? See friends, here now what happens is the particular father, actually this is also another video clip moving very fast, virally in the social media recently, okay, where hundreds and others are also being shared in group. So he says that the child is going to suppose this bulb, simple this ordinary bulb which goes into our ordinary what is a socket, and he puts that bulb on the thighs and also on the hand of the baby, and the bulb actually glows. How can it happen? See, this bulb has actually got internally some circuitry, is actually LED bulb. Some circuitry is there. AC is connected to DC with some kind of circuitry inside. Then it has to be supplied with the 230 volts AC. Then only it will function. But how can a boy contain 230 volts of 50 Hz voltage? This is the question. Without asking those questions, people have taken for granted that it is also truth. So that way, our students should not be offered with such a kind of education which is actually partial, and whatever is supposed to be known to them must be known with all its left and right extremes. Okay, so my dear friends, the ethical aspect, the objective aspect, the scientific aspect.
What is the matter? We have to come. What is the purpose? Even don't know anything.
అంటే అట్లాగా
Okay, so so this is the way in which you are supposed to be teaching to the students, and finally we should also be conversant with the environment. And after people say that we are borrowing the natural resources very what to say, without any foresight, and next generations are likely to have very diminished resources. And Earth has got finite resources. Earth is not all some kind of a seed which will be again giving new earths and all. Okay, we are actually having everything on this earth only: the water, the minerals, the energy sources, everything are all fixed. So naturally, we have to think of generations of generations, and that can happen only by sustainable development. So as engineers, both mechanical engineers, chemical sciences, other things, whoever we are all, the students must be given the outlook of sustainable development, not very costly, very what to say, too much lavish consumption of natural resources. So all these things will become part and parcel of our ethical behavior. The nature, society can be, nature will be having its own harmony, society also will be having its own harmony. These things only should be taught, the harmonious consumption of natural resources, and so that the society will be improvised in its standards and all can happen only by sustainable development. All these things must be part and parcel of our education, and that is the responsibility of the teachers. Finally, if this online education continues without any vaccine coming up very soon, perhaps after some time, the book itself may become one of the maybe some kind of what to say, some kind of fossil material, and they may be knowing what it is. Okay, so book should never be replaced by any what to say, the smartphones, laptops, etc. So the teachers must be warning to the students, even if they are attending classes online, that they should also read books, whatever they are having access to. So the book information should never be lost. And the difference between mediocre teacher, good teacher, superior teacher, and great teacher has been already explained by our beloved director on the inaugural day itself. We should inspire the students. What is the inspiration? Inspiration comes only by acquisition of knowledge and also by performance in the society. So my dear friends, thank you very much for your patient listening. Of course, there may be a lot of other aspects also associated or linked to the ethical behavior. You can share some of your ideas and remarks also to me and also across the fellow participants here, and we will be in a position to share these ideas, mutually get benefited, so that all of us are going to be having a different kind of behavioral aspect in the days to come when we enter to the classroom, either virtually or realistically. Thank you. All the best and have a healthy day.
Giving a wonderful lecture on professional ethics. Now, participants, if you have any questions, please ask the professor. Are there any questions? If there are
All
no
of us
questions,
must be very hungry, so let us not see. You can just put to those questions to my mail ID also. I'll be able to respond to your questions individual also, no problem. Perhaps you're all very hungry. It's already 1:40. From 9 o'clock till now, you must be watching online. Definitely very difficult to keep stuck. So I can understand. So no need to worry about that. Please just call it a day, and let us have in a chat only on the email.